Hi there, it's Kate Wood from Hinken Realty and Worth Preserving with another video about home stewardship. This time we're talking about protecting your investment when it's cold outside. Cold weather can mean frozen pipes, and there is almost nothing more potentially destructive to your house than water. So I'm here with Desiree Lawlor from Hart Water Conditioning, and she's my go-to person for any questions that I have, especially about water, but really when it comes to anything house-related. I own several houses in the Hudson Valley. My family owns houses, I manage them. I'm also a realtor, so I work with a lot of buyers, some of them first-time buyers. We're just trying to sort of manage and make sure that we're taking care of our houses in cold weather, because things can happen. And like some of the kinds of things, like we hear horror stories about like pipes bursting and leaks happening, and they can be very destructive.
There's a couple of important things that I advise my clients. I own a water treatment company, so people will call me and ask me what to do if they're going to go away for a weekend, or what to do if temperatures are forecasted at a particularly cold, especially nighttime temperatures, particularly cold. At night, or if you leave the house for a prolonged period of time, the water in the pipe isn't moving, which gives cold water in particular an opportunity to freeze inside a pipe. In a spot like this, where we have a sink up against a north-facing exterior wall in a house, this is a spot that is particularly vulnerable to freezing, especially in the cold water pipe.
Because we were looking at like how close that plumbing is to the exterior wall, and like you said, this is the north side, which
Exactly.
Always the coldest side of the house.
Yep.
But the south side can get cold too, depending on the weather pattern. But
Absolutely.
This is a particularly vulnerable kind of situation.
This house is an older home, and we are rich with these beautiful older homes here in the area.
Like I don't know how much insulation is in this wall.
Right.
I mean, it's 100-year-old addition to a farmhouse, so
Yeah.
I have no idea like really how protected that is on the other side.
Exactly.
And you've got this window, so you've got like lots of
heat loss.
Yeah, exactly.
Lots of heat loss.
Yeah.
So as an owner of a home here in a cold weather climate, there's a couple things that you got to think about, extra layers of sort of caution that you need to take. Nothing to be afraid about, but a couple of simple things to do. If you're going to be going away from your house for a prolonged period of time, a weekend, or it's a particularly cold night, or it's going to be a particularly cold night, one of the things that we recommend that you do with any sort of exterior wall, north-facing cold, where there is a potential for heat loss, is leave a cabinet open.
Yeah.
Yep, leave the cabinet open. There are two sources of water, potential water loss or potential leak inside this cabinet. One is the obvious one, which is the water lines that feed the faucet, but the other is the drain.
Right.
So we have to protect ourselves from the water inside the drain trap freezing. Leave the cabinet door open and allow a little bit of heat to go into the cabinet, and that will protect the drain and will also potentially prevent any freeze up on the cold and hot water line to the faucet. Leave the cabinets open. Same thing with the dishwasher door.
Just leave it open.
Yep, just leave the dishwasher door open, and then you'll protect the dishwasher drain apparatus and the water apparatus inside the dishwasher. That's a good extra caution, safe measure that you can take to protect from freeze ups on exterior walls.
Okay.
So the first step that I recommend that people do when they shut the water off, if they're going to leave the house for a prolonged period of time, let's say a weekend, and they're concerned about freezing temperatures, is to shut the well pump off.
Most of these houses have a private well, that's their water source. So it's not municipal water. It's they're taking their own water up from the ground, and inside the well is a pump, and the pump is what brings the water into the house. And so one of the things to be mindful of is that if there's a leak and that is causing the pressure in the house, the water pressure in the house to go down and demanding more water from the well, the pump's going to be running.
That's correct.
So if there's a leak in the house and the pump is running and bringing more water into the house, that leak's only going to get worse. And if there is then all kinds of things could happen. You could have a flood in your house. If it's freezing outside, you could have ice flows. You could have all kinds of things happen. So you advise people turn the well pump off.
Yes. The way that you can shut your well pump off is to go to your paddle box. Typically that's going to be in a mechanical room, or it's going to be in your basement. And here are all the circuit breakers that operate the electrical functions in your house. Locate the water pump on the label that you have inside the door and simply operate the breaker by closing it. One side says on, the other side says off. As long as you shut that off and that switch is off, there is no longer any power to your well pump. It will not pump water through a leak. The next step in the process of shutting the water off would be to open a cold water faucet so that you can relieve some of the pressure in the pipe. When you open the faucet, after a few seconds, the water level is going to run down and the flow is going to begin to stop. When you've reached the point that it's nearly done and gone, you can close the faucet back up. This is where the water comes into the house in a home where you have a well. In a home where you have a well, there's going to be some kind of tank that looks like this. Sometimes they're tiny and they're mounted on the wall. Sometimes they're tall and they sit on the floor like this one. The water comes in from the well outside and it passes over this tank, and the next stop is a shut-off valve. This shut-off valve on this pipe will shut the water off to the house mechanically.
And how do you know if it's open or closed?
Well, a lot of them have labels on the handle, if you can still read the label on the handle. But one of the ways that I love to tell people is if it looks like it's building a dam against the valve body, then it's off.
So perpendicular.
Right. If it looks like it is in line with the valve body, then on.
Okay. And it probably would be a good idea to put like some kind of ribbon or tag on that so that you don't even have to think.
Absolutely.
Like if you have to turn off the water for any reason.
Absolutely.
That you could run down to the basement, quickly shut that off, and then you know that water's not pumping through all the pipes in
Exactly.
your house.
Leaks are panic-stricken situations.
Yes.
If you live in a home that is serviced by municipal water, in other words, you pay a water bill, you're not going to have one of these. What you're going to have is a meter somewhere where the water comes into the building. And right after that meter, you will find one of these valves. Sometimes valves look like this in really old homes. If you have a valve that looks like this, just shut the water off by turning it to the right all the way until it doesn't turn anymore. And that's what you do.
Righty-tighty.
Municipal source, righty-tighty. You got it.
So Desiree, your special expertise is water treatment. So talk to us about how you protect your house when you have a water treatment system.
Okay, so when you shut the water off in a house and you go away for any period of time, weekend, couple of weeks, 6 months, the water treatment equipment should be addressed as well before you go. What I recommend my clients do with water treatment that looks like this: water softeners, filtration, sulfur treatment systems, machines that look like this that have a clock on top, that before they leave, after they shut the water off, they unplug the water treatment system. Just the type that have a clock on top. Unplug the ones with clocks so that they don't call for water while you're away. When you return, plug the system back in. Check your clock. If your clock needs to be set, go through the process of setting the clock. And then the machine has not cleaned itself for a period of time, and it needs to. So to refresh it, get started on the right foot when you return, cue a regeneration so that the machine will clean itself out. Different machines have different buttons. They look different, but across the board, every piece of water treatment equipment that has a clock on the top has some kind of button that you can use to cue the machine to clean itself out at the next scheduled time.
So here is where the outdoor spigot comes into the house and connects to the cold water. And so we have installed here a shutoff valve, especially for the spigot, because they can freeze if they have water in them at the end of the season, but there's no reason to even, I mean, they can be completely drained if you shut the water off here and then turn the spigot on outside.
Yes.
We're going to drain it.
Exactly.
So let's do that now.
So you shut the water off here inside the house. Water will no longer be fed to that spigot. However, that line is completely full of water at the moment.
Right.
So we shut it off and then go outside, open this spigot and leave it open.
Yeah.
Okay. So after you shut your outside faucet off inside the basement, it's wise to open the faucet.
Lefty-loosey.
Lefty-loosey. Water may not come out of it. Water may come out of it, but open it and leave it open. What you're doing is draining the water that lays in the pipe and also making sure that there's a pathway if any water in the pipe freezes, so that it will freeze. Instead of freezing against the pipe, it just freezes a long way.
Okay.
So we're here in Kate's farmhouse, which is in excess of 100 years old, right?
Yes,
this house is
definitely.
well over 100 years old.
Yeah, so it did not have central heat when it was built.
Okay.
It had a fireplace.
It had a fireplace. It really is important if you're going to leave your house or turn the heat down a bit.
Yeah, I mean, just to like save energy. Like if I'm not here, the house doesn't need to be at 68.
Exactly.
But it also shouldn't go below 50.
50.
Yeah, definitely turn it down to be energy efficient, but also keep it warm enough so that we're really well above freezing. The house should never be close to freezing inside.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep, agreed. One, with these fantastic modern e-thermostats that can communicate with cell phones, if there is a feature where you can hook this up to your phone or you can communicate with your thermostats and communicate with the HVAC system when you're away from the house, absolutely sign up for it and do it. It gives you an opportunity to see that if there was a problem with the boiler and the temperature is starting to drop into the 40s, you need to call somebody to come over and take a look at it.
Right.
So if that feature exists, by all means, use that feature and check occasionally. Set alerts. We had one in our house, the most recent house that I moved out of, that would send me email and send me text alerts to let me know if the temperature were getting too low in the wintertime or too high in the summertime. In other words, my air conditioning system wasn't functioning properly.
Right. So if I were to go on my phone and see that the temperature was set to 56, but the temperature was actually like 40 in the house, I know something's going on with the boiler. Like
exactly.
It's not working. But they do depend on Wi-Fi in order to communicate with your phone. So if the power is off, like say there's an electrical outage in the area, if the power's off and your Wi-Fi is not working, you're not going to be able to communicate with this device from your phone.
Yep,
so if you see
right.
that this is offline, that's another, like if you check on your phone and you see that it's offline, that's another thing to think, well, I should think about whether there's a power outage. And also another thing that, just while we're talking about power outages, is I signed up for National Grid's alerts. Yes. So I get an email and a text when the power goes out and it affects this property.
Yep. Okay, so all of our local power companies, Grid, NYSEG, Central Hudson, Orange and Rockland in the Hudson Valley area offer that now. You can get text alerts that the power is out, and you can get text alerts with restoration potential. Your power will be on in 14 hours, your power will be on in 5, and they'll let you know when it's been turned back on. If you don't have an e-thermostat, if you still have a standard, Honeywell dial thermostat or an electric thermostat or electronic thermostat that doesn't communicate, they're dependent on electricity to work as well. So power outages do cause issues that can cause significant heat loss in the house. Whether you have a boiler, a furnace, a heat pump, or you use an electric furnace.
Properly.
A functioning furnace, a functioning boiler, a functioning heat pump, they all will restore service once electric service has been restored.
Yeah.
A well pump will restore service once electric service has been restored. The only thing in the house that you really need to kind of pay attention to when the power goes out and comes back on is the clocks on your water treatment equipment, and that's not an emergency to draw you back. You can deal with it when you get back. Right. I get this question very often when I advise my clientele about shutting their water off. Shutting the water off at the panel box, as we've illustrated, is a wise way to protect against leaks. But people are concerned radiators and hot water baseboards heat a home by running hot water through some kind of manifold. It might be the fins on baseboards, it might be a radiator like this in an older home. If you shut the water off in your house, it does not impact the way a radiator works. Radiators and baseboards, hot water baseboard pipe, are filled once and the water is recycled over and over and over again as it passes through the boiler or the furnace and gets heated. Radiators and baseboards don't call for water on a regular basis. They only call for water occasionally to replace evaporative water loss, which doesn't account for much more than a couple of cups of water a year in an inefficient system. In an efficient system, it can be less than a half a cup a year. So shutting the water off in the building doesn't do anything to stop water flow to your radiators or baseboards. That isn't water flow, it's water recirculating.
Okay, so it's okay if you turn your well pump off and there's no water in the house, there will still be water in the radiators. So as long as the boiler's working, you will still have heat.
Yep.
So we were enjoying our fireplace this weekend, and you want to keep the damper open while the fire is going, because that creates the draft. It keeps everything going up the chimney. The fire is nice, but once the fire dies down, you always want to close the damper,
right?
Because that closes the chimney and makes sure that all the heat in the house is not escaping
through the chimney,
up the chimney.
Right. So there's a lot of reasons actually to close the damper on a chimney. It is a vulnerability to the outdoors. If the damper is open when you are not using the fireplace, one, like Kate said, all the heat in the house is going to escape through your chimney, through that open damper. It's like an open dog door or like a cat door. And during the operation of the fireplace, if you don't have the damper open, then you end up with also carbon monoxide gas in the building. So when you are done enjoying your fireplace, close the damper. And if you hear it, like if you could hear it just now, it closed and it made quite a noise. You really have to pull that. It needs a little bit of elbow grease because you're pulling something on a string that's several feet up the chimney.
Right. Final tip is to know the difference between your boiler switch and your basement light switch. So my parting advice is this: get to know your plumber and other professionals like Desiree from Hart Water Conditioning. Appreciate them, because it's not a question of if you'll need their help, but when. Plus, they're just really cool, kind, knowledgeable people.